Did they really replace you, or are they just running from the silence, from the mirror that forces them to face what they've become? Because let's be honest, they moved on too fast. So fast, it almost looks desperate. And here you are, sitting with that gnawing question. Was I that easy to forget? No, they didn't move on because they were over you. They moved on because they were afraid. Terrified of their own reflection, afraid to be alone with their thoughts, to sit in the emptiness and realize that no one else will ever see them the way you did. Afraid to admit they made a mistake. But mistakes are like shadows. They don't always show themselves in the light. They creep in slowly, revealing their full shape over weeks, months, sometimes even years. Right now, they think they've won. They believe they've leveled up. They're convinced they're in control. Here's the truth. People don't leave when they stop loving. They leave when they think they can do better. They leave when emotion overpowers reason, when the illusion of something new seduces them into believing that happiness is just a fresh start away. Society feeds them this lie, telling them there's always something better, always a greener pasture waiting just beyond the fence. But what happens when they step onto that better side and realize they were already standing in the greenest field? What happens when they wake up next to someone who doesn't challenge them, who doesn't ignite that electric fire of attraction, who lacks the depth that made you irreplaceable? That's when the regret sets in. That's when they start to question everything. And here's where most people screw up. They panic. They chase. They send that one last text for closure. They make calls trying to talk sense into someone who no longer hears them, as if love was some sort of negotiation, as if they can plead their way back into relevance. Big mistake. The second you chase, you validate their decision. You prove to them that they were right to leave, that they had the power all along. They start thinking if they were really that valuable, they wouldn't be acting like this. See, as long as they believe you're still emotionally attached, they feel nothing. But the moment you go silent, without warning, without explanation, that's when your absence becomes deafening. That's when their mind starts asking dangerous questions. Wait, why aren't they chasing me? Did they never love me? Or worse, have they already replaced me? Doubt is the executioner of certainty. Right now, they are certain they made the right choice, but that certainty is built on a lie. The assumption that you're still waiting, still hurt, still watching from a distance. The second you break that assumption, the game flips. This isn't about getting them back. Face is about getting you back. It's about rediscovering the person they underestimated. Because when you master the art of detachment, when you become the one who never waits, never chases, never looks back, they won't just regret leaving. They'll come running back. But by then, you won't even care. And that's the ultimate power move. If you're ready to reclaim your power, drop a comment below. I refuse to chase illusions. Now let's begin. Gone without a trace, and that's where the power lies. Absence is a weapon. Right now, you're either using it to make them question everything, or you're wasting it, feeding their ego with your desperation. Most people don't understand this. Silence isn't just the absence of words. It's the presence of power. The less available you are, the more valuable you become. That's human nature. People don't chase what's handed to them. They chase what's slipping away. They don't crave what's easy. They crave what feels just out of reach. And right now, they don't feel like they've lost anything. Why? Because you're still there, maybe not in front of them, but in their shadow, lingering in their thoughts, leaving traces of your presence. They know you're checking their social media, replaying old memories, wondering if they're doing the same. And the truth, they're not, at least not yet. Because the mind doesn't register loss until something is truly gone. A door that's left slightly open is never questioned, but a door that slams shut, that's when the mind starts knocking. You see, when someone suddenly disappears from our lives, the brain reacts like an addict in withdrawal. So, it searches for explanations, patterns, anything to fill the void. But if you never leave that void, if you keep reaching out, reacting, staying visible, they never feel that emptiness. They never feel the loss. And if they don't feel the loss, they don't question. And if they don't question, they don't regret. Right now, they're certain they made the right choice, certain you're still an option, certain you'll be there if they ever change their mind. But the second you remove yourself completely, that certainty starts to crumble. At first, they won't care. They'll be distracted by their new reality, their new situation, maybe even a new person. But distractions fade, the thrill wears off, and suddenly a terrifying thought sneaks in. Did I make a mistake? That's when the stalking begins. They'll start checking in, scrolling through your profile, asking mutual friends about you, searching for signs that you're still watching, still waiting. And if you've done this right, they won't find a thing. No sad posts, no cryptic quotes, no desperate attempts to prove how great you're doing, just silence. And silence is louder than any words you could ever say, because now they're the ones wondering. They're the ones questioning. They're the ones feeling the loss. This is how the game flips. This is how you reclaim control, by doing nothing, by letting them sit in the silence until it becomes unbearable. Most people don't have the discipline for this. They break, they check in, they accidentally like an old post. And just like that, all the power is gone. The absence is shattered, the mystery is ruined, and they go right back to feeling certain. Don't be the one who lingers. Be the one who disappears without a trace. Be the one who understands that true power doesn't come from being available. It comes from being missed. Emotional control is ultimate strength. They thought you'd crumble. They believed you'd fall apart, spiraling into desperation, begging for closure, sending frantic late-night texts. Maybe they imagined you'd lash out, letting your emotions take control, showing the world just how broken you were without them. And if you gave in to any of that, congratulations, you handed them exactly what they expected. But here's the harsh truth. Nothing demands respect like emotional self-control. When you refuse to let your emotions dictate your reactions, you immediately become powerful, untouchable. Emotional control isn't just strength, it's armor. It protects you from manipulation, regret, and pain. Why? Because attraction doesn't fade simply because things end. It fades when they see you breaking down, drowning in emotion, becoming weak under pressure. The minute your actions scream desperation, their mind quietly whispers, "I knew I made the right decision." But what happens if you respond differently? What if, instead of falling apart, you stand firm, composed, unshaken, untouched by the chaos they left behind? Suddenly their certainty fades into confusion. A silent voice creeps into their thoughts, asking dangerous questions. Why aren't they breaking down? Didn't I matter at all? Was I wrong about everything? Now the tables turn. Now they're not sure who left whom. They believe they were walking away, but your calm indifference makes it seem like you're the one who willingly let go without even glancing back. The roles reverse, leaving them feeling abandoned by their own choice, haunted by the realization that perhaps their value in your life wasn't what they assumed it was. This is Stoicism at its core, controlling your own responses, letting go of what you can't change. You can't force someone's feelings. You can't make them stay or regret leaving. Their decisions, their actions, they're beyond your reach. But your own mindset, your reactions, your dignity, those are entirely in your control. Ask yourself honestly, are you behaving like someone worth regretting, or are you proving their decision right? Are your actions reinforcing their belief that you're weak, dependent, and emotionally fragile? Or are you demonstrating that your worth and confidence remain intact, regardless of who walks in or out of your life? People aren't drawn to desperation. They're drawn to strength. They respect those who don't beg for validation, who don't collapse under stress. They're captivated by the rare ones who remain calm and confident, even as the world around them falls apart. These are the people who occupy minds late at night. These are the ones who become impossible to forget. Picture emotional control like the eye of a storm. Around you, emotions rage, anger, sadness, disappointment, confusion, but you remain calm at the center, untouched. You don't suppress emotions, you master them. They exist, they swirl, but they never control you. They never sweep you away. You might wonder, can I really fake this? The answer is clear. No, you can't. You can't fake genuine strength. You can't secretly obsess over their social media, hoping for signs they're miserable, yet still appear unaffected. Your truth always shines through. Emotional control must be real to have power. You either embrace it fully or remain a slave to your feelings, trapped in the cycle of desperation. Imagine emotional control as standing at the edge of the ocean. Waves crash violently, emotions rise and fall, yet you remain grounded, feet firm, unmoved by the force around you. The waves eventually tire, leaving you exactly where you stood from the start, strong, resolute, untouched. In the end, the one who reacts never truly wins. The person who remains calm, composed, detached, that's the one who ultimately holds the power. Emotional control isn't just about appearing strong, it's about actually becoming unbreakable. This is the strength that leaves them wondering, regretting, questioning everything they once believed about you, because the one who maintains composure always leaves the deepest mark. After all, fire can't burn what's already calm, and chaos can't disturb what's already at peace. Right now, they're smiling brightly in photos, holding someone new as if they've found paradise overnight. They're posting moments of happiness, making sure the world, and especially you, sees every single snapshot. And there you are, staring at the screen, feeling like you've lost a race you didn't even know had started. You might be wondering, how could they move on so quickly? Did I mean nothing? Let me clear something up immediately. They haven't moved on, they've simply distracted themselves. What you're seeing isn't real progress. It's emotional avoidance dressed up as happiness. Most people don't sit with their pain or confront their loneliness. Instead, they leap into something new, something shiny enough to mask the emptiness they're afraid to face. This new partner isn't an upgrade. They're a temporary fix, a bandage hastily applied to a wound that's still bleeding. Think of it like this. If someone breaks their leg, no bandage in the world can repair the fracture beneath the surface. Sure, they might walk around smiling, pretending everything's fine, but the pain eventually resurfaces stronger and sharper than before. The new relationship is that superficial bandage covering emotional wounds that haven't healed. It feels good now. It numbs the ache temporarily, but it doesn't fix the deeper issue. So why does their new relationship look so perfect? Because it's supposed to. They're performing happiness, not just for others, but mainly for themselves. It's a desperate attempt to convince themselves they've made the right choice, to silence the nagging doubts whispering in the back of their mind. If they truly moved on, if genuine happiness filled their days, they wouldn't feel the urge to display every detail for your eyes to witness. Rebound relationships are predictable. They start fast, burn hot, and then inevitably crash. Why? Because they're built on avoidance, not genuine connection. They're built on running away rather than healing. Think of a rebound like fireworks on a summer night, bright, exciting, captivating, yet gone just as quickly as they appeared, leaving nothing behind but darkness and silence. After the sparks fade, reality creeps back in, colder and emptier than before. At first, everything feels incredible in their new relationship. Every touch, every laugh, every date feels thrilling, like escaping into a vivid dream. but dreams always end. Eventually they wake up, facing a reality they never truly escaped. That's when the cracks appear, doubts surface, and questions multiply. Am I really happy? Why do I still feel this emptiness? Did I make a mistake? That's when thoughts of you quietly begin to slip back in. First, just fleeting memories. Then late-night curiosity creeps in. They'll scroll your social media, secretly hoping to see signs that you're still broken, that you haven't moved forward. But if you've played this right, they'll find nothing. No desperate posts, no signs of weakness, just silence, strength, and calm detachment. Imagine yourself as the shoreline. Waves may crash against you endlessly, but you remain unmoved, unchanged, no matter how powerful or frequent those waves may be. You stand firm, and eventually, even the strongest waves settle. In the quiet afterward, they'll realize something painful, that they ran from their true feelings while you confronted yours head-on. That while they were distracting themselves, you were growing stronger, wiser, more powerful. And here's the most important part. You don't compete with their rebound. You don't try to prove you're better. Why? Because strength never needs to prove itself. Confidence doesn't shout. It speaks calmly, quietly, and deliberately. You simply step back and let time do the work. Because when their bandage finally falls off, when their temporary distraction collapses, they'll inevitably think of the person who stood strong, without needing to chase, without begging for validation, without reacting at all. So remember this, they haven't replaced you. They're running from themselves. Their new relationship isn't your loss. It's their desperate attempt at escape. When it collapses, and it will, they'll recognize who truly had power all along. The one who remained silent, unmoved, and confident enough to let them run straight into their own regrets. Here's a truth most people hate hearing. The more you care, the less they do. It's harsh, uncomfortable, and deeply unfair, but life never promised fairness. Right now, they're counting on your reaction. They assume you're carefully tracking their moves, quietly suffering, and waiting anxiously for any sign they might still care. They're posting those photos, flaunting new happiness, fully expecting it to bother you, to make you jealous or anxious. But what happens when your reaction never comes? What if, instead of anger or desperation, you respond with absolute indifference? This is when the entire dynamic shifts. See, people unconsciously test emotional strength. It's human nature to probe, to push boundaries, to measure power. When someone leaves quickly, flaunting their new partner, new life, new joy, it's not always real happiness they're displaying. Often, it's a test, a subtle challenge. Will you break? Will you react? Do I still have power over you? The second you take the bait, you've lost. Because nothing destroys attraction more rapidly than emotional weakness or neediness. Neediness reveals itself as desperation, and desperation is attraction's greatest poison. It immediately confirms their sense of superiority, reinforcing the belief that they made the right decision to walk away. But let's talk about the opposite, true indifference. Indifference flips every expectation upside down. It quietly dismantles their certainty, leaving them questioning their significance in your life. Imagine indifference as standing in the eye of a hurricane, surrounded by chaos, yet utterly calm and untouched. Your calmness becomes unsettling, even intimidating, because it means they never truly held your emotional strings. But make no mistake, real indifference can't be faked. Pretending to be unaffected while secretly checking their social media and analyzing their every move is not indifference. It's insecurity disguised as strength. And people can smell that insecurity from miles away. Authentic indifference comes from genuine emotional freedom. It occurs naturally when you realize they no longer hold the keys to your happiness or sense of self-worth. Ask yourself this: am I truly indifferent, Or am I just performing strength? Because genuine indifference isn't about proving something to them. It's about freeing yourself. It's about discovering a deeper, unshakable confidence, one that isn't defined by anyone else's actions or choices. It's knowing your value independent of external validation. It's waking up each day secure in yourself, regardless of who's beside you or who has chosen to walk away. Here's why indifference is irresistibly powerful. Human beings crave validation. We hunger for recognition, the reassurance that we matter. When you remove that validation, when you become the rare person who truly doesn't care, it drives them insane. Because deep down, everyone wants to feel irreplaceable. But your indifference calmly communicates the opposite. I'm fine without you. Life goes on effortlessly. And suddenly, you become the one they can't stop thinking about. Think of indifference like the moon's gravity. It quietly influences tides without effort, without ever seeming affected by the waves it creates. You are the moon, strong, stable, quietly powerful. Your absence of reaction becomes your greatest tool, far more impactful than anger, jealousy, or longing could ever be. Let them post their pictures. Let them celebrate loudly. Let them play their games, seeking reactions they'll never receive. Because your silence speaks volumes, louder than words ever could. Eventually, they'll start asking themselves dangerous questions. Why aren't they reacting? Did I miscalculate? Did I matter less than I thought? And at that moment, you've won without ever lifting a finger. Remember, people don't miss those who chase them desperately. They miss the ones who never needed to chase in the first place. Indifference isn't coldness. It's clarity. Friedi. It's understanding your worth, your value, and your power. And nothing unsettles someone more profoundly than realizing they underestimated your ability to walk away without a glance back. So stay calm, stay indifferent. Show them the cold shoulder and watch quietly as they begin craving the warmth you no longer offer. Self-improvement is the best revenge. Real revenge isn't about proving someone wrong. It isn't about making them jealous or bitterly hoping they realize their mistake. True revenge is quiet, effortless. It's simply becoming everything they never imagined you could be and allowing them to discover too late that they lost someone irreplaceable. Right now, you have two roads ahead. You can remain stuck, endlessly replaying the past, stalking their social media, hoping for some sign they're still thinking about you. Or you can take that same energy and pour it entirely into yourself, redirect every ounce of pain, frustration, and hurt into building a life that far exceeds anything they ever thought you were capable of. Understand this clearly. At this moment, they're not losing sleep over you. They're not watching closely. Yet the future has a habit of flipping the script, and people often have a strange way of returning when you least expect it. However, they won't return because you miss them or because you want them back. They return when reality hits them, when they realize that losing you meant losing something uniquely valuable. Think of your life as a garden. After someone leaves, most people neglect it. They allow weeds of bitterness, regret, and self-doubt to overtake the soil. Eventually, everything that once thrived dies. But what if instead you choose to nurture it, planting seeds of discipline, confidence, and purpose? Over time, what grows won't just impress others, it will astonish even you. And when the person who walked away sees this flourishing garden, they'll question everything. They'll ask themselves, did I underestimate their potential? Did I give up on someone who was about to bloom into greatness? That's where true regret begins. Most people self-destruct after a breakup. They spiral, lose their purpose, and allow their lives to become proof that the decision to leave was the right one. But you're different. Your path leads upwards toward genuine growth. Each step toward becoming stronger, smarter, and more successful is a quiet act of defiance, a refusal to let their decision define you. But remember, self-improvement isn't about impressing them. It's about reclaiming yourself. It's about waking up every morning with purpose, driven not by resentment but by ambition. Imagine becoming so engrossed in your own success that you genuinely forget to think about them. That's true freedom, and it's also the ultimate revenge. There's an old saying that captures this perfectly. Success is the best revenge, because it announces itself without ever needing to speak. Your results become impossible to ignore. You don't need words to prove a point when your actions shout louder than you ever could. Eventually, when they glance back and see you thriving far beyond what they imagined possible, they'll feel a deep pang of loss. It's at that precise moment they'll realize the cost of walking away from someone who became unstoppable without them. The irony is, by the time they fully grasp your worth, you won't even want their validation anymore. Why? Because you've transformed into someone who no longer depends on external approval. You've found fulfillment within yourself, independent, strong, and free. This transformation isn't temporary, it's lasting. You didn't change because of them. You evolved because you chose to reclaim your power by embracing the discipline of self-improvement. You stopped waiting for closure, stopped seeking validation, and finally became the person you were always meant to be. In the end, your victory isn't their regret. It's your own pride in who you've become. And nothing will ever taste sweeter than the peace of knowing you turned pain into power. Close the door yourself. Right now, you're convinced that if you could just have one last conversation, one final explanation, you'd find peace. You're desperate for answers. Why did they leave? Why did they move on so easily? Why didn't they fight for something you thought mattered? You believe that closure is the key to moving forward, that somehow their words will heal wounds that won't stop bleeding. But let me save you some trouble. Closure is a myth. It's an illusion, a comforting lie we tell ourselves to avoid accepting reality. The harsh truth is this: closure never comes from them. It only ever comes from you. There's no magical conversation that will erase your pain or neatly explain why things fell apart. Seeking closure is like chasing shadows. You'll never truly catch them, and each attempt only leaves you further behind, exhausted and confused. Instead of peace, you're left with more unanswered questions, more uncertainty, and deeper emotional attachment to someone who's already moved forward without hesitation. Imagine closure as a locked door. You're standing there, pounding on it, begging for it to open. You think answers wait behind it. Clarity, peace, and explanation for why they walked away so easily. But behind that door is only emptiness. The moment you stop knocking and turn away is the moment you reclaim your power, because the only person capable of closing that door is you. They aren't spending nights agonizing over what happened. They aren't obsessively replaying conversations, wondering if they missed something crucial. They're sleeping soundly, living life without looking back, at least for now. Meanwhile, you're stuck in a loop, replaying what happened, hoping that a perfect explanation will suddenly change everything. It won't. Asking for closure only traps you deeper in emotional limbo. Maybe you get that conversation, and for a fleeting moment it feels like relief. But within hours or days, new questions rise to the surface. Doubts return, stronger and sharper. You're left wondering, why wasn't their explanation enough? Why do I still feel hollow? Because closure from them was never the solution. It was the problem all along. Instead, embrace a deeper kind of closure. Acceptance. Acceptance doesn't require explanations. Acceptance recognizes the truth that what's done is done, and no amount of talking or begging will rewrite the past. When you reach this level of strength, when you genuinely let go without needing validation, you become untouchable. Nothing they do can hurt you again. Think of closure as holding hot coals in your hand. expecting someone else to extinguish the fire. The longer you hold them, the more pain you feel. Only when you choose to drop them yourself does the burning finally stop. It's not their responsibility to heal your pain. It's yours. The moment you embrace reality, acknowledge the ending, and walk away as the moment true healing begins. Ironically, when you stop seeking closure, you become a puzzle they can't solve. Your silence, your strength, your calm acceptance creates confusion. They begin to wonder, why haven't they reached out? Did they move on that easily? Did I matter less than I thought? And suddenly, the power dynamic shifts entirely. Real closure isn't a conversation, it's acceptance. It's understanding that some questions never get answered and realizing that's okay. It's choosing yourself, your future, your peace over chasing illusions of the past. You don't need their explanation or permission to move forward. All you need is your own strength to step away, close the door firmly, and never glance back. Because the minute you stop waiting for their approval is the moment you discover a freedom you never knew existed. They walked away. That was their choice. Now you must choose your own path. Real closure comes the instant you realize your worth was never defined by their decision to leave. Close the door yourself because no one else ever will. Out of sight, not out of mind. You might believe they've already moved on, that they've erased your memory from their lives, but nothing could be further from the truth. Even when they claim to be indifferent, when they flaunt their new life, block you out, or swear they've closed that chapter, they're still watching. They may act as if you no longer matter, but deep down, curiosity keeps their eyes fixed on your every move. Imagine this: you post a new photo, not out of despair, but simply because you're living your truth. They scroll past, pausing ever so briefly as if to catch a glimpse of something familiar, a reminder of what was once shared. It's not that they're planning a reunion or plotting to reclaim the past. It's simply human nature. As the saying goes, out of sight, not out of mind. Even if they try to convince themselves they're indifferent, a small part of them can't help but wonder what you're up to. Think of them as a detective in a mystery novel, constantly piecing together clues from your digital footprint. They silently observe your updates, your milestones, the quiet confidence that now defines you. And when they find nothing to suggest that you're suffering, no desperate posts, no hints of sorrow, it raises questions they'd rather not face. Why doesn't this person show any pain? They might muse, am I not as significant as I once believed? These questions can be both a bomb and a sting, slowly burning with the realization that perhaps their departure wasn't as clean as they thought. In those moments when the excitement of a new beginning begins to fade, they may find themselves drawn back to your online world, like a moth to a flame. They're compelled to revisit the memories that once defined you both. It's not about longing for reconciliation. It's about satisfying an innate need to understand, a need to confirm that what they left behind still holds power. And here lies the paradox. The very act of watching confirms that you still matter, even if it's only in the recesses of their mind. Imagine your life as a vast open landscape, and you are the constant, unchanging horizon. They roam through the valleys of their current existence, yet their gaze always drifts toward you, toward the part of life that remains untouched by their fleeting presence. When they see you thriving without a hint of despair or longing, it plants a seed of doubt. How can you be so unfazed? Did I lose something irreplaceable without even realizing it? This quiet questioning is not born out of regret or remorse, but from the unsettling power of your indifference. Consider this metaphor: a once vibrant painting left in a dimly lit room. Over time, the colors may fade, yet the outlines remain etched into the memory of anyone who once admired. They might try to dim the image with new distractions, Yet no matter how many layers of modernity they add, the original masterpiece still casts a long shadow. Your calm, unruffled demeanor is that masterpiece, unaffected by the passage of time, impossible to erase. It's important to understand that their surveillance is not an attempt to rekindle old flames or to seek reconciliation. Rather, it's a subconscious act driven by the human desire to measure what was lost. When they witness that you remain unbroken and unapologetically yourself, they're forced to confront the possibility that perhaps their decision was not as sound as they once believed. The absence of visible pain on your part speaks volumes, louder than any expression of sorrow ever could. You might ask, why would someone keep watching if they truly moved on? The answer lies in the nature of loss and memory. People rarely let go completely. Even when they've walked away, their minds continue to harbor questions, regrets, and what-ifs. And while they might deliberately avoid triggering memories by ignoring your existence, the inevitable passage of time softens those defenses. Gradually, the guard goes down, and a quiet, almost imperceptible curiosity takes over. They check your profile, scan your pictures, and look for signs that reveal whether you're still affected by the past or have soared to new heights of resilience. Your silence, your steady progress, your unwavering sense of self, they all serve as a counterpoint to the chaotic emotions they're trying to bury. In a way, your calm is a mirror reflecting back their own uncertainties, and that reflection, as unsettling as it may be, is the quiet confirmation that the power they once held over you is no longer absolute. So as you continue living your life with purpose and authenticity, remember this: they're always watching, not because they care enough to return, but because they can't help but be drawn to the mystery of what once was. Their gaze, even if fleeting, reveals the truth that deep down, the impact of your presence endures. And that in itself is the most potent reminder that you have moved on, untouched by the need for their validation, unburdened by the weight of their absence, and completely in command of your own destiny. Attraction through mystery. If they know every detail about you, if your life is an open book with every page laid bare, they quickly lose interest. When every move is predictable and every thought is laid out in full view, the spark of attraction flickers and dies. In the art of seduction, mystery is the secret ingredient that transforms the mundane into the mesmerizing. As the old adage goes, the unknown is always intriguing. When there's something left unsaid, when gaps in your story invite them to wonder, their curiosity ignites a powerful desire to learn more. After a breakup, many rush to share every accomplishment, every mundane detail of their daily life, hoping that constant updates and flashy social media posts will prove they've moved on. Yet this overexposure can have the opposite effect. When you reveal too much, you strip away the layers that make you a captivating enigma. Instead of stirring their interest, you render yourself completely predictable. It's like watching a film whose ending you already know. Once the mystery is solved, the thrill dissipates. Picture your life as an intricate puzzle, each piece a moment of growth or triumph that remains partially concealed. The true allure lies in leaving some pieces hidden, so they are drawn to piece the picture together on their own. Imagine them scrolling through your profile and encountering nothing but carefully curated glimpses of your progress. No desperate updates, no overt attempts at validation. In those moments, they are compelled to ask themselves, what else am I missing? That very uncertainty transforms you from someone easily forgotten into a captivating mystery they long to unravel. Many wonder why withholding details works so powerfully. The answer is simple. When someone can predict your every move, there's no challenge, no intellectual or emotional engagement. Uncertainty is the fuel that sparks the imagination. It is in the gaps between your shared moments that their mind fills in the blanks, creating a narrative all their own, one that is rich with possibilities and charged with anticipation. A famous saying comes to mind: absence makes the heart grow fonder, not in the literal sense of missing every detail, but in the way that not knowing everything leaves room for fantasy, for hope, for the desire to see more. Think of it like a beautifully composed piece of music. If every note is played without pause, without space for the silence that makes each sound resonate, the composition loses its emotional impact. It is the rests, the carefully measured silences that heighten the beauty of the melody, allowing the listener to savor each note when it finally arrives. In the same way, by holding back parts of your story, you create a rhythm in your life that draws them back. Eager to hear the next note, they might even ask themselves, why does this person remain so elusive? What am I missing? In their silence, such questions often lead them down a path of introspection where the mystery you embody becomes an irresistible puzzle. They begin to imagine that behind your quiet strength lies an even deeper story, a series of challenges overcome, victories earned in silence, and a life so rich and complex that no simple update could capture it. Your deliberate reserve becomes a testament to your inner strength and self-assurance. Many people mistakenly believe that proving your success is the best way to reclaim lost admiration. They think that by posting every achievement, every step forward, they can signal that they are thriving. However, genuine growth is not something that needs constant validation. True confidence radiates quietly. When you are deeply content in your own journey, you no longer feel compelled to broadcast every detail. Instead, you let your progress speak for itself, leaving them to wonder about the hidden layers of your transformation. Imagine a secret garden hidden behind a tall, ivy-covered wall. Occasionally, a glimpse of lush greenery or the scent of blooming flowers drifts out, sparking curiosity in passers-by. They may never fully see what lies within, but the allure of that mysterious beauty compels them to return again and again in search of more. Your life should be that garden, rich with hidden depths and subtle hints, inviting those who care to take a closer look while keeping enough mystery to ensure they remain perpetually intrigued. Ultimately, the magic of attraction through mystery isn't about playing games or manipulating perceptions. It's about honoring the natural human desire for discovery. When you allow parts of yourself to remain unspoken, you invite them into a space of wonder and possibility. You become a narrative that unfolds slowly, where every chapter left unwritten beckons them to imagine what might be. And in that space, you transform from a mere acquaintance into an unforgettable enigma, someone whose very silence speaks volumes.